and gentlemen, honored judges, and green light management, thank you for being here today. We're going to walk you through the current market opportunities and situation for green light and how they can navigate in an uncertain future. There's a lot of market developments which presents both threats and opportunities to green light management, and we're here to illuminate the path forward to the sustainable future for green light. My name is Helge, this is Kim, Dominic and Amelia. We're team 1 from UBC. Are you ready to switch to the future? Just looking at the overview of what we're going to be doing today, we believe that our strategy of partner distribution and focused marketing, as well as entering the LED industrial market, will deal effectively with the key issues and to stimulate demand and diversify our products moving forward in a sustainable growth way, as well as meeting the vision for the future of the green light evolution through local presence, consumer education and target marketing, as well as innovation and diversification of products. Just running through what we're going to be talking about today, I'm going to be going over the analysis, then I'm going to hand it over to Kim to talk about strategy in the first prong of our recommendation, then Dominic will talk about the second prong, before Amelia will wrap it up with risks, financials and implementation time. So where are we today? Global lighting industry of 73 billion, about 1/3 of which is light bulbs and 21% of which is in North America. It's dominated by 3 big players, with the remainder being made up by smaller niche players such as yourself and Greenlight. It's going to have a 7 to 9% compound annual growth rate over the next 5 years, which is faster than the remaining economy. It's fueled by constant technological progress. Looking at the efficient green lighting industry in particular, it is being driven, the growth is being driven by government regulations and shifting consumer preferences towards green and cost-saving products. This leads to many new entrants into this attractive market and commoditization of existing products. Additionally, the longer lifetimes of the new bulbs will lead to market saturation and reduced purchase velocity in the future. In particular, I want to draw your attention and put a spotlight on the LED market. It beats other products in most metrics, but has generally been considered too expensive, 5 to 15 times what an equivalent CFL bulb costs. However, it's decreasing rapidly, at 13 to 24% per year, and it's projected to be of equal price to CFL bulb by 2015 and comprise 50% of sales. So this is a huge opportunity that Greenlight needs to take advantage of going into the future. From our consumer analysis, our key takeaways is that price and cost savings generally matter more to the consumer than being green. However, individual consumers also value supporting green businesses that are doing the right thing. So any message that any strategy that we propose needs to address both of these concerns. Again, the key challenges that we're facing here is growing competition and commoditization, and this yields us an opportunity to grow and to move forward as long as we can account for the developments in the market. Any solution to these challenges needs to build the Greenlight brand, establish a sustainable sales potential, and to diversify our market risk and exposure. I'm now going to hand it over to Kim to talk about our strategy and our first recommendation.
Okay. So our recommendation is a 2-pronged strategy. The first prong focuses on a collaborative marketing campaign with state utilities to stimulate demand. The second prong focuses on establishing industrial LED in growing niche sectors to diversify your product. Together, these strategies increase sales in the short run and plan for LED growth in the long run. Now, I will go in depth with the first prong of our strategy, collaborating with state utilities to stimulate demand. We call this campaign, Your Movement, Your Light. Now, there are 4 main reasons why this strategy makes sense. First, working with state utilities have proven to be effective in the past. Second, residential consumers remain to be the largest consumer segment in the light bulb market. Third, you should target these residential consumers with state utilities because they share the same interests as you. And share the marketing costs. And lastly, by collaborating with state utilities, we build a stronger brand presence in the targeted cities. Now, we recommend, in the short run, to target specific cities with the marketing campaign. To determine these cities, we've come up with a criteria that includes population size, number of building permits, population growth rate, as well as Green City Index. Now, here's a sample of the cities we evaluated, and based on our criteria, we decided that New York, Los Angeles, Houston, and Dallas were the most promising cities to focus your marketing efforts. Now, based on these 4 cities, we determined the 3 state utilities that encompasses these areas that you should seek partnerships with. As you already have a partnership with PG&E in California, we recommend for you to leverage your relationship building experience to further build relationships with TXU Energy in Texas and Consolidated Edison in New York. After establishing these relationships, you both can carry out an effective marketing campaign that aligns with both of your interests of educating consumers about energy-efficient light bulbs. Now, instead of educating consumers through a passive channel like billboards, we recommend for you to encourage them to interact with your brand with an engagement marketing campaign that will lead to increased conversion rates. Now, here's an overview of our proposed engaging marketing campaign. This campaign is designed to target the majority of the population in the 4 cities with an interactive marketing display that includes QR codes and a campaign website in areas with high foot traffic. This campaign is called Your Movement, Your Light. The key messaging of this campaign is your movement towards a sustainable future today will create a lighter tomorrow. This is how we envision the interactive display. The display will have 3 light bulbs, an LED, CFL, and incandescent light bulb. The consumer can interact with the display by turning the handle on the side to generate light. After it generates light, the consumer can see which light bulb lasts the longest, as well as a comparison in cost savings and environmental impact between these 3 light bulbs. It's exactly what consumers want, as Helge mentioned in the consumer analysis. And this clearly shows them that the LED and CFL light bulbs are much more efficient than incandescent light bulbs. After this display attracts attention, consumers can further interact with it by scanning the QR code or visiting the campaign website to learn more about energy-efficient light bulbs, as well as to receive green points. Now, green points translate directly to coupon discounts. For example, 5 green points equals 5% discount. Consumers can also collect green points through the packaging on products so that it can go towards, the discount can go towards their next purchase. This creates a positive feedback loop, as the more green points that customers collect, the more they will want to spend on the green light products, which leads to increased sales for you. And lastly, we recommend for you to implement 40 displays across the 4 cities in areas with high foot traffic. For example, take New York. In the subway stations attract over 50,000 people each day. Overall, this campaign is designed to generate $2.4 million in incremental revenue in the first year of implementation. Now, to recap all of that, Your Movement, Your Light aims to educate consumers and build brand awareness in collaboration with state utilities to stimulate demand. Now I'll pass it on to Dominic, who will further talk to you about prong 2 of our strategy.
Now, how to address product diversification? It is one of your key issues that you're facing. We are recommending you to move into the industrial LED market. Why does this make sense? Not only does it diversify your product, it also establishes you in a rapidly growing industry with large sales volumes. If we look now at the LED market growth by segment, we can see that the residential market is the fastest growing. However, the residential market especially is facing high competition and many new entrants. A similar situation is with offices and shops. In addition to many competitors and many entrants, we also need to consider the fact that the person who pays the bill is not necessarily the same person as who operates the facility, and therefore the incentives to imply LED lights are maybe misaligned. In terms of outdoor utilities, in the past there have been implementation problems with implementing effective and lasting public policy decisions that have been dragging the development of LED growth. This is why we recommend you to move into industrial LED. Now, why does moving into industrial LED make sense? First of all, it saves a lot of energy and is highly energy efficient, especially because a lot of industrial firms are requiring 24-hour usage of the light bulbs. In addition, it works on the key characteristics of LED bulbs, meaning that they're more resistant to temperature, shocks, and vibrations, which combined with the first leads to a reduced maintenance cost through less replacements and a longer lifetime of the bulbs. For your company internally, industrial LED also means that there's that the big three of your competitors are not as established there yet. Now, what does this all result in for the company? It is simple: a shorter payback period. The shorter payback period has been calculated on past implementations to range from about 1.5 years to 2.5 years on average. If we compare this to what industrial firms are generally accepting as a considerable payback period for LED implementation, we can see that already 50% of the respondents accept a payback period of only 2 years. Narrowing down the niche now, we would like to focus your attention on 9 key growing industries in the US, and specifically focus on the oil and gas as well as manufacturing. Why? It's simple if we look at the map. Oil and gas is especially prevalent in the south as well as in the northeast. Manufacturing has a strong belt from Wisconsin down to Alabama. If we put the two together, it is evident that we have 2 regional clusters of activity and growth potential, operational potential for your company. Let's put this all together now and look at what cities we are targeting, where your company is established, and what industrial clusters we are recommending. You can see that there is presence in the northern cluster through your warehouse distribution facility in Illinois, whereas the southern cluster is not served sufficiently yet. We're hence recommending you to establish a distribution center in Texas around the Dallas area to serve the southern cluster of potential for industrial LED. Now, how do you align this shift to industrial LED internally? To maximize sales volumes and maximize your company's and your employees' incentives, we recommend you to move towards a more performance-driven variable compensation structure, which would make the compensation structure up to 40% variable to ensure that your sales employees are aligned properly with increasing sales volumes. To sum up this strategy, how do we diversify the product? The key issue is increasing competition and commoditization. We recommend you to move into the industrial LED sector to solve these problems by focusing on a niche market with high growth potential. And we would like now to discuss the risks, financials, and timeline for that.
Thank you, Dom. So the first risk to the first prong for our strategy includes dependency on state utility partnerships. How Greenlight can mitigate this is that although we are suggesting 3 ideal markets, you should also consider research and looking into alternative state utilities. And the way they should structure and focus their negotiations are to always emphasize the aligned incentives both economically and environmentally. The second risk here is the effectiveness of our marketing campaign. How Greenlight should mitigate this is by encouraging and co-sponsoring established CFL programs by state utilities. State utilities have a program that has a far reach and also a high influence. For a second prong for our strategy, the first risk we believe is potential low, difficult initial penetration in the LED market. How Greenlight can mitigate this is by starting in advance, developing familiarity and customer relationships with potential clients. The second risk here is supplier constraints. Greenlight should have multiple suppliers, the number of which we believe is growing exponentially, especially in countries like China and India, as the technology adoption rate increases for LED. Now going over to the financials. So historically, green light has volatile growth and poor margin resilience, especially in macroeconomic downturns. We believe this is due to, firstly, a lack of product diversification, and secondly, poor solar energy investments with limited synergies. So we have come up with a 5-year growth plan to put Greenlight on a path to at least be able to capture industry-level growth rates, both in terms of volume and in terms of pricing. So we believe we can implement this, firstly, our first stage of growth through targeted marketing and also through high synergy supplier partnerships will enable Greenlight to take on the first 2 years of its plan. This would then be followed by, targeted B2B sales channels, as well as performance-driven variable cost structures in the LED industrial industry. So combining these two strategies, we believe Greenlight should be able to achieve a 9% compounded annual growth rate over the next 5 years, hitting its annual sales target of $35 million by 2015. The combination of our strategies, we believe, will enable customers to, first of all, to know the Greenlight product, to prefer it, and to have easy access to it. This will enable Greenlight to have a position of financial strength, and our proposed strategies aim to deliver an NPV of $6.7 million. So Greenlight can begin initiation of our plans by conducting due diligence immediately in 4 key areas. Firstly, in marketing, secondly, with state utility partnerships, followed by warehousing and re-examining its compensation structures.
All right. So let's take a look at the light we've shown on this industry today. We've suggested that you deal with the challenges that are facing your industry through 2 main strategies: entry into the industrial LED and your movement, your light. The your movement, your light strategy not only mitigates the pressures on the margins from suppliers and competition by differentiating the product, it also hits the 2 key points that the consumers want. It's green and it's cost effective. Entering into the industrial LED market diversifies your product, diversifies your risk, and enters into a high growth market with less competition. As well, you can leverage your the way you develop LED expertise in new LED applications as the light bulb industry slows down from the increased lifetimes of the light bulbs. With that, we'd like to thank you for listening to our presentation. We're sure that our strategy will lead to sustainable and profitable growth, and we hope that we've shown light about where this company can go in the future and what it can achieve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now begin the 10 minutes of Q&A by the judge.
So for the LED, getting into the LED industrial market, can you just give me some more, explain to me some more how you're going to go about implementing the strategy?
So I think the first step is we have identified 2 key concentrated markets. So first in the Illinois, Michigan area, and secondly down south in Texas and so on. So we think that this strategy ties in very well with the first phase of our strategy, targeting the households, as they both have good areas in Dallas and Texas. So our first step is an implementation timeline to set up a warehouse in Dallas, Texas. That will be where we initially begin, followed by developing customer relationships and potential clients.
Just to be sure though, you're not trying to sell directly to the residential. So you're going to do it through
industry companies.
Yes,
and so on.
thank you.
And I guess a key part of that strategy is your incentive scheme, right?
Right.
So you're targeting, or you're giving your sales force 40% performance bonus based on selling.
If I may just add on to this, when you create your new warehouse, do you think, what are some of the issues you think you're going to face? Because it's a new area, new market.
Well, the key issue on there, let me just go to this slide. Well, the key issue that you're facing in terms of distribution is the supplier power. So in terms of supplier power, the strategy would help you with 3 key main things. The first one is increase the international competition within suppliers, so to source from new industrial suppliers, also because it's different light bulbs and because it's different products. So you might also, we are also recommending to keep working on the connections that you're establishing with India to create a competitor with China. The second thing is that we are encouraging you to focus your sales not on entire North America, but on specific industries and cities to leverage larger buyer power by purchasing larger orders from your suppliers. And the third, in terms of supplier power, is that most of the patents are actually expiring 2010 to 2014 for industrial LED. So you're also expecting a lot of new entrants in the market for industrial LED over the next few years, which will decrease the supplier power specifically in industrial LED and not necessarily in the residential light bulb market.
Thank you.
So you have a sales forecast, right, for your alternatives here. What, aside from the numbers just growing, explain to me, what's driving those sales? What is it that's going to lead those sales, funnel those sales to Greenlight versus the competitors? So what's the differentiation? Why are these numbers going to be justified?
So we believe that Greenlight can outshine its competitors by, first of all, building its brand, so having brand identification with customers, and second of all, its distribution chain. So our warehouses are very strategically targeted, and we aim to have very close customer intimacy, ensuring short delivery time so that customers are happy and satisfied with our services.
So you're saying we're just going to advertise, and that'll generate sales. Is that basically what you're saying?
Well, if I may add to that, a big part of it comes from our campaign. Since our campaign is so interactive, we actually expect high conversion rates from that. So the campaign includes the rebates, which incentivize consumers to go to Greenlight. And again, it comes back to the green points. So the more green points they collect through making purchases from Greenlight or through scanning the QR code, the more they'll be willing to spend.
So that's for the first part. How about the industrial LED market?
Okay.
There, I think we want to leverage our brand power, our very high quality products in the LED market in general. Both lumens and wattage is generally overstated by 30 to 90%. So there's a huge quality deficit, especially from the new companies coming in. And I think we can leverage our existing brand power and position as a leading energy efficient lighting distributor in the United States to further push these sales with industrial clients for whom this type of quality is exceedingly important.
And to add to that, also the B2B sales channel with our very variable compensation package, our sales team will also be highly trained and highly in touch, a high level of consumer intimacy and touch with as our incentives are aligned with the company.
How many people do you think you'll need to, on the industrial LED, that motivated sales force, to be able to do what you're talking about, sell the units you're talking about? How big is the sales force going to be?
Sure. So right now, this company has about 25 employees, and about roughly, we're estimating 50% of it is derived by sales employees. So if we look at historically what rough sales bulb sales per employee has been, and we believe that with this new introduction of their compensation package, we will be able to drive sales per employee with a 40% increase. Yeah, so you can see here, our calculations indicate that the current average salary per employee is about $90,000. So with the introduction of a 4% variable package, we expect them, if they meet their sales targets, this could increase to $126,000, driving a similar progression in their sales, bulk sales per employee. So this will also even allow potential reduction in sales force as they become more efficient and effective
first strategy, which is the what do you call it?
Collaborate.
Yeah, the one that you're talking. Yeah, website. Yeah, just help me with the channel on that. So it's utilities that are buying, right? They're the ones you're selling to. You're promoting to a consumer. They're pulling from utilities. That's what you guys are. That's the proposal.
We also believe that we can align this with the existing CFL program. Some of these, as we mentioned, some of these utilities are already doing, so have that as a co-sponsored part of that.
Consider what the competition is going to do and how they're going to react. You think they're going to sit back and not do anything, or you assume the price is going to stay the same?
In terms for the industrial LED market, or
Actually, both.
for the industrial LED market, it's fairly evident that there's going to be a lot of entrants, and especially new suppliers going to be entering. So this will actually drive down the market price for purchasing the LED bulbs. In terms of the competition within the United States, it will obviously increase, and that is why we recommend you to start your implementation there now. But to combine the two strategies, you can't just, you're doing well in your company right now, you're doing well with your utilities, so we don't recommend you to switch to one thing specifically, and that is why we're trying to link the two strategies together.
Just to add to that, the projected growth rate for the next 5 years is about 45%. There is very few companies that can actually effectively manage that that kind of growth rate without additional resources, and therefore we believe that there will be created a gap in the market that we hopefully move in.
I don't think that GE and Philips are good enough to be able to support that kind of growth.
One of the things that one of the reasons why we were targeting the industrial market was that it's low. They're targeting the residential. They're targeting offices and sales. Those are the focus areas they have. Let me just pull that up. They have different focuses. That's part of the reason why we chose that as our strategy.
Thank you very much, UBC. That's all the time we have.